When I first met Alex, I thought I had stumbled into a love story straight out of a movie. It was one of those chance encounters that people like to romanticize, the kind you hear about in cheesy rom-coms. I had just moved to a new city for work, nervous about starting fresh and lonely in an apartment that felt too quiet at night. My friends back home told me to get out, meet people, try new things. So one evening, I went to a casual gathering at a friend of a friend's apartment. That's where Alex walked into my life. Alex had that magnetic energy. He wasn't the most handsome person in the room, but he had this confidence, this way of making everyone laugh, that drew me in. Within minutes, we were talking as if we had known each other for years. He asked me questions about myself, where I was from, what I liked, what my goals were, and he listened, really listened. After months of feeling invisible in a new place, it felt refreshing to be seen. We exchanged numbers that night. The next day, he texted me good morning, before I had even finished my coffee. Within a week, we were seeing each other almost every day. By the end of the month, we were officially a couple. At first, it was perfect. Alex was attentive, thoughtful, and always planning little surprises. If I mentioned craving a specific food, he'd show up with it the next day. If I had a long day at work, he'd wait outside my office with takeout and a smile. He made me laugh until my cheeks hurt. For the first time in a long time, I felt safe, cared for, and excited about the future. My friends adored him. My coworkers thought I was glowing. Even my parents, who were notoriously skeptical about anyone I dated, said, "He seems like a good guy. Don't let this one go." And honestly, I didn't plan to. We started talking about the future early on. Alex would casually mention things like, when we move in together, or one day, when we travel to Europe. It wasn't just talk, he made me feel like those dreams were real and achievable. We even started looking at apartments together, just for fun. At night, we'd stay up planning vacations we couldn't afford yet, arguing playfully about whether we'd get a dog or a cat first. Everything was falling into place, and I thought, this is it. This is my person. But here's the thing about perfection. Sometimes it's just an illusion, a glossy surface hiding cracks underneath. Looking back, I can see the signs now. At the time, I brushed them off because I didn't want to ruin the fantasy. For instance, Alex was glued to his phone. At first, I thought it was work. He said he had a demanding job that required him to stay connected. Fair enough. But over time, it became more noticeable. He'd tilt the screen away when I walked by. He'd laugh at messages but wouldn't explain why. If I asked, he'd quickly change the subject, saying, "Oh, just some work stuff. You wouldn't be interested." Another thing, Alex had a habit of disappearing for hours with vague excuses. I was with a friend, or I just needed some fresh air. I told myself he was independent, that it was healthy for us to have space. But deep down, there was a nagging feeling. Then there were the little inconsistencies in his stories. He'd tell me he was at the gym, but later mention hanging out at a cafe. He'd say he was exhausted from work, but then his social media showed him at a bar with people I'd never met. I remember one night in particular. We were having dinner, and his phone kept buzzing. He flipped it upside down and left it on the table. I teased him, saying, "What? Hiding your secret girlfriend?" expecting him to laugh. Instead, his face went stiff for a second before he forced a smile and said, "You're crazy. Don't even joke like that." I laughed it off, but the way his expression froze haunted me later. At the same time, Alex had this way of overcompensating. Anytime I seemed distant or suspicious, he'd shower me with affection, flowers, gifts, surprise weekend getaways. It felt like he was trying to keep me distracted, to keep me dazzled. And it worked at least for a while. I told myself, he loves me. He's showing me in every way possible. Why question it? But something inside me whispered, because it feels too good to be true. One of the most convincing parts of our relationship was the way Alex presented us to the world. On social media, we were the perfect couple. Cute photos, lovey-dovey captions, inside jokes in the comments. Everyone envied us. My friends would say, "You guys are relationship goals." Strangers would comment, "Couple of the year." And I believed it too, or at least I wanted to. But behind the filtered photos and polished smiles, something darker was brewing. Something I couldn't see yet but would soon hit me harder than I ever imagined. There was one conversation that sticks with me even now. We were lying in bed, and I asked him, "Do you ever think about what would happen if one of us messed up? Like cheated?" He looked at me strangely, almost defensively, before laughing it off. "Why would you even say that? You know I'd never do that. You're the best thing that ever happened to me." At the time, his words soothed me. But later, when the truth came out, I realized that moment was the first crack in the glass, a foreshadowing of the storm that was coming. If you had asked me then, I would have sworn Alex was the one. My family loved him. My friends adored him. And I felt like the luckiest person alive. But as the saying goes, when something feels too perfect, it probably is. And soon, I would discover that the man I thought I'd build a future with was hiding a betrayal so deep that it would not only break my heart, but ignite a fire in me I never knew existed. The fire of revenge. The first doubts. It began innocently enough. One Friday evening, Alex told me he couldn't hang out because he had a late night meeting. That wasn't unusual. He often claimed work ran late, but something about the way he said it felt off. His tone was rushed, almost rehearsed, like he was reading lines from a script he'd practiced in the mirror. My gut twisted, but I brushed it aside. "Don't be paranoid," I told myself. "Trust him. Relationships are built on trust." But then, while scrolling through Instagram later that night, I saw something that made my heart sink. A mutual acquaintance had posted a story, a group selfie at a downtown bar. And there in the background, barely noticeable but unmistakable, was Alex laughing, drink in hand. Definitely not in a meeting. I stared at the screen, my fingers trembling. Maybe it was an old photo? Maybe he had stopped by for just a minute? My brain scrambled to make excuses for him. But deep down, I knew the seed of doubt had been planted. The slippery lies. Over the next few weeks, I paid closer attention, and the lies became more obvious. He said he was at the gym, but when I casually asked what workout he'd done, he couldn't answer. He said he was with co-workers, but the restaurant receipt I later found in his jacket pocket only had 2 meals on it. He said he was too tired to talk, but his phone buzzed constantly until a.m. Each inconsistency was like a tiny cut, and together they bled me dry. The hardest part was how good Alex was at gaslighting. When I gently brought up my concerns, he would turn it back on me. "Why don't you trust me?" he'd ask, his eyes narrowing. "You're imagining things. You're being insecure." I started doubting myself. Was I paranoid? Crazy? Had my past heartbreaks made me overly suspicious? But my instincts screamed louder with each passing day. Something is wrong. The phone The breaking point came one Saturday morning. Alex was in the shower, and his phone buzzed on the nightstand. Normally, I respected his privacy, but this time, something took over me. My hands moved before my brain could stop them. I picked it up. The preview on the lock screen showed a message from someone saved as Sam. It read, "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you." My heart stopped. Sam wasn't a coworker. Sam wasn't a friend. Sam was clearly more. With shaking fingers, I unlocked the phone and knew his passcode. Though he didn't know I remembered. What I found inside shattered me. Dozens of messages, photos, voice notes. Weeks, maybe months of conversations dripping with affection, intimacy, and plans that had nothing to do with me. Messages like, "I can't wait until you're mine completely. She doesn't suspect a thing. Last night was perfect. Let's do it again." I dropped the phone like it burned me. My stomach churned. My vision blurred with tears. The man who told me I was the best thing that ever happened to him was living a double life. The confirmation. I confronted him that evening. My voice trembled, but I held the phone in my hand like evidence in a trial. "Who is Sam?" I asked. For the first time, Alex looked cornered. His face went pale, but within seconds, he switched into performance mode. "Sam, just a friend from work." I showed him the messages. His jaw tightened. "Okay, maybe it got flirty, but it's not what you think." Then I showed him the photos, the late night selfies, the hotel room shots, the intimate messages. His mask cracked. He sighed and muttered, "Fine. You caught me." Just like that. No tears, no begging, no real apology, just cold admission. It was like he had rehearsed this moment too, ready for the day his lies collapsed. The breakdown. I don't remember much of what happened after. I remember screaming, crying, asking questions he barely answered. My chest felt like it was splitting open. "How long? Does she know about me? Did you ever even love me?" He shrugged off most of it, saying things like, "It just happened and we weren't serious." Not serious? We were planning a future together. My family adored him. I let him into my home, my life, my heart, and he had the audacity to call it not serious. I kicked him out that night. He didn't fight it. He just packed a bag, muttered, "I'm sorry you feel this way," and left. That was the moment I realized Alex never loved me. Not the way I loved him. To him, I was convenient. I was safe. A backup plan while he chased thrills elsewhere. The rock bottom. The days after were a blur. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My body ached from crying. Every memory of him felt poisoned, like my entire relationship had been a lie. The worst part was the humiliation. I thought about all the people who told me, "You two are perfect together." How could I admit that it had all been fake? That while I was bragging about my dream boyfriend, he was sneaking around behind my back? The betrayal cut deeper than anything I had experienced before. I wasn't just heartbroken, I was humiliated, discarded, broken. And yet, somewhere in the wreckage of my pain, a new emotion began to rise. At first, it was just a spark. Then it grew hotter, stronger, until it consumed me. Rage. Not the kind that makes you scream or throw things, but the quiet, burning kind that simmers beneath the surface. The kind that whispers, "He doesn't get to win. He doesn't get to walk away and leave you shattered. You will rise. And when you do, he'll regret underestimating you." That was the day I decided I wouldn't just move on. I would get revenge. Finding out about Alex's betrayal broke me into pieces. But in those pieces, I found something I didn't know I had: strength. And with that strength came clarity. If Alex thought he could cheat, lie, and walk away unscathed, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. Because my heartbreak was about to turn into the most calculated revenge I'd ever imagined. Rage has a funny way of sharpening the mind. At first, I was consumed by grief, replaying every moment with Alex like a broken record. But slowly, something shifted. Instead of crying, I started thinking, plotting. If Alex thought he could cheat, humiliate me, and then waltz into the sunset with Sam, he was about to discover how wrong he was. I wasn't going to just move on, I was going to make him wish he'd never crossed me. The research phase. The first step was simple: gather intel. Alex had been careless. He used the same laptop for both work and personal stuff, and he often left it lying around at my place. Sure enough, when I checked the browser history and synced emails he'd forgotten to log out of, I struck gold. Dinner reservations for 2 on nights he told me he was working late. Hotel confirmations under his name but charged to his secondary credit card. Even calendar invites labeled with inside jokes. Little love notes he'd written for Sam. Every new discovery twisted the knife, but it also fueled my determination. This wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. This was about justice. I started keeping a digital folder, encrypted, password protected, filled with screenshots, receipts, and evidence. My little treasure chest of ammunition. The strategy, revenge, I decided, needed 2 key ingredients. Timing strike when he least expected it. Audience humiliate him in front of the people who mattered most to him. I thought about simply blasting everything on social media, but that felt messy, impulsive, and honestly, I wanted more. I wanted a theatrical reveal, something that would etch itself into his memory forever. That's when inspiration struck. His birthday. Alex's 30th was coming up in just 2 months. He was already planning a big party at a rented hall, with friends, family, and coworkers invited. He couldn't stop bragging about how it was going to be the event of the year. Perfect! What better stage for his downfall than his own celebration? The preparations. The next few weeks, I became an actress worthy of an Oscar. On the outside, I played the role of the heartbroken ex trying to stay civil. I sent polite texts, returned a few of his things, even agreed to grab coffee just to talk. He bought it completely. He thought I was still fragile, still desperate to have him back. Inside, though, I was ice cold. Every word, every smile, every fake laugh was part of my plan. Meanwhile, I quietly reached out to mutual friends and colleagues, pretending I wanted to contribute to the party. I offered to handle the slideshow, a sweet photo montage of Alex through the years. Everyone thought it was adorable. Little did they know, the slideshow I was building wasn't just baby photos and graduation shots. It was a ticking time bomb. The slideshow. I worked on it late at night, alone in my apartment. The first half was innocent childhood pictures, goofy high school snapshots, happy memories from college, enough to make people smile, maybe shed a tear. But then, slowly, the tone shifted. Screenshots of late-night texts appeared. Receipts for dinners and hotel rooms flashed on screen. Pictures of Alex and Sam together, taken from social media accounts he thought I didn't know about. Each slide was a dagger, and by the time the final image appeared, a selfie of him kissing Sam in the very hotel he had once taken me to. The entire room would know the truth. I rehearsed it in my head, the gasps, the whispers, the stunned silence. Alex's face crumbling as his perfect facade shattered. The thought alone was intoxicating. The disguise. Of course, I couldn't let Alex catch wind of my plan. To him, I had to remain the sad but harmless ex. So I leaned into it. I texted him things like, "I hope we can stay friends and I'm glad we ended things peacefully." I even congratulated him on landing a new client at work, pretending I was still his biggest cheerleader. He ate it up. Meanwhile, I blocked Sam on everything so she wouldn't see me snooping around. If she got suspicious, she might tip him off. I couldn't risk that. The beauty of my disguise was that it allowed Alex to keep underestimating me. And nothing is more satisfying than a man who thinks he's smarter than you, right before you destroy him. The dress rehearsal. A week before the party, I tested everything. I booked a small meeting room at work after hours, connected my laptop to the projector, and ran through the slideshow. The transition timing, the music, the captions all flawless. When the last image faded to black, I actually laughed out loud. Not because it was funny, but because it felt so right. For weeks I had been drowning in betrayal. Now, for the first time, I felt powerful, in control. The anticipation. As the party drew closer, I could barely contain my excitement. Alex texted me a week before, "Hey, I know it might be weird, but I'd still like you to come to the party. You were such a big part of my life, and it'd mean a lot." The audacity, the arrogance. I replied, "Of course, I wouldn't miss it." He had no idea that by inviting me, he was handing me the stage for his own destruction. The calm before the storm. The night before the party, I sat in my apartment staring at the final version of the slideshow. My finger hovered over the delete key for a moment. Part of me wondered if I was going too far. Was it cruel to humiliate him like this? Should I just let karma handle it? But then I remembered the lies, the gaslighting, the way he looked me in the eye and told me I was imagining things. No, this wasn't just revenge. This was justice. And tomorrow night, justice would be served in front of everyone Alex cared about. By the time I went to bed, I wasn't nervous anymore. I was ready. Alex thought his 30th birthday would be a celebration of his life. Instead, it would be the night his double life came crashing down. And I would be the one holding the remote. The night of Alex's 30th birthday finally arrived. The venue was a sleek rented hall downtown, decorated with fairy lights and balloons in gold and black. Tables were draped with crisp white cloths, and a champagne tower glittered in the center of the room. It looked like something straight out of a lifestyle magazine. Alex, of course, was in his element. He wore a tailored navy suit, grinning ear to ear as he welcomed guests. He hugged his parents, clapped his co-workers on the back, and kissed Sam like they were the golden couple of the night. It made my stomach churn, but at the same time, my lips curled into the faintest smile. Because I knew something Alex didn't. Tonight wasn't his coronation. It was his execution. I made sure to arrive fashionably late, just as the speeches were about to begin. I wore a deep red dress, bold, eye-catching, but not too flashy. Enough to make Alex notice me the second I walked in. And oh, he did. His eyes widened for a split second before his grin widened. He hurried over, glass of champagne in hand. "You made it," he said, wrapping me in a hug that lasted a moment too long. "I wasn't sure you'd actually come." I forced a smile. Of course, I wouldn't miss this. He looked relieved. Maybe, in his mind, this was proof that I was still hung up on him, still orbiting around his world. That arrogance would make what came next all the sweeter. Dinner passed with clinking glasses and polite chatter. Then came the speeches. His mom gushed about what a wonderful son he was. His boss praised his work ethic. Sam stood and talked about how lucky she was to have found him. I almost gagged. Finally, Alex took the microphone. He soaked in the applause like a king on his throne. "Thank you all for being here," he said, raising his glass. "I couldn't ask for a better family, better friends, or a better partner by my side." He kissed Sam's cheek, and the crowd awed. Little did they know the show was just beginning. "Before we cut the cake," Alex continued, "I think my dear friend here has something special planned. She's been working on a slideshow, right?" He turned to me, gesturing toward the projector. Every eye in the room shifted in my direction. My heart pounded like a drum, but my face stayed serene. I stood, clutching the remote like it was a weapon because tonight it was. "Yes," I said softly, smiling. I thought it'd be nice to look back on some memories. The lights dimmed. The projector flickered to life. The first slides were innocent enough. Baby photos, awkward teenage years, college graduation. People laughed, clapped, and cooed at the images. Alex beamed proudly, leaning back in his chair with his arm draped around Sam. But then, the tone shifted. The next slide showed a dinner receipt. 2 enter yes, 2 glasses of wine. Dated on a night Alex had told everyone he was working late. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. Another slide appeared. A hotel booking confirmation, complete with Alex's name. Then a screenshot of a late-night text exchange. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you." Gasps filled the room. Alex's smile faltered. He stammered, glancing at me. "What is this?" I ignored him and pressed the remote again. Now the slideshow moved faster. Pictures of Alex and Sam's secret selfies, cozy dinners, hand-holding in public plastered across the screen. Screenshots of flirty messages, tagged social media posts he thought I'd never find. The audience erupted into shocked whispers. His mother's hand flew to her mouth. His boss looked horrified. Sam froze, her face drained of color. And Alex was crumbling. He shot out of his chair, stumbling toward me. "Turn it off. This isn't funny." But I didn't flinch. I clicked to the final slide. A selfie of Alex and Sam in bed together. Timestamped just 3 days before our breakup. The room fell silent. Dead silent. Then, chaos. "Is this true?" his mom demanded, voice shaking. "You've been cheating this whole time?" His sister hissed. "What the hell, Alex?" one of his co-workers muttered. Sam tried to speak, but Alex shoved past her. His face was crimson, his chest heaving. He reached for the remote, but I held it tight. "This," I said calmly, my voice carrying through the microphone, "is the man you've all been celebrating tonight. The man who lied to me, lied to his family, lied to everyone in this room." Alex's father stood up, shaking his head in disgust. "Enough. You've humiliated this family enough." His boss muttered something about unprofessional and stormed out. Friends avoided his gaze. Even Sam pulled her hand away when he tried to grab her arm. The empire he'd built, the reputation, the charm, the illusion was crumbling around him in real time. And I watched it happen with a steady calm I never knew I possessed. The staff, unsure what to do, rolled out the giant birthday cake as planned. The candles flickered in the dim light, but no one sang. No one clapped. Alex stood there, sweating, humiliated, his party in ruins. Finally, I set the remote down and walked toward the door. As I passed him, I leaned in just enough for only him to hear. "Happy birthday, Alex. Hope it's one you'll never forget." Then I walked out into the cool night air, my heels clicking against the pavement. Behind me, the chaos continued. Voices were raised, glasses clinked, and the carefully constructed facade of Alex's perfect life collapsed like a house of cards. As I drove home, the adrenaline still coursing through me, I replayed the scene in my head. The gasps, the betrayal, the look on Alex's face as his double life unraveled in front of everyone. It was everything I had imagined and more. But little did I know, the real twist was still to come. The ending would blow even my mind. When I left Alex's birthday party that night, I felt lighter than I had in months. The city lights blurred as I drove home, adrenaline still buzzing through my veins. For weeks, I had rehearsed that moment in my head, the slideshow, the gasps, the downfall, and now it had happened. Perfectly, spectacularly. Alex's reputation was shredded. Sam's fairy tale romance had imploded, and for once, I was the one in control. But the real twist, the thing I never saw coming, that was still waiting for me, just around the corner. The next morning, I woke to dozens of messages. My phone buzzed non-stop. Friends, I cannot believe what you did, legendary. Mutuals, he deserved every second. Strangers I barely knew saw the video. Wow. Yes, you read that right. Someone had recorded the entire slideshow and it was already circulating online. By breakfast, Alex's dirty laundry wasn't just family gossip. It was viral content. At first, I panicked. I hadn't intended for the humiliation to spread beyond that hall. But as I scrolled through the comments, I realized something. People weren't judging me. They were applauding me. He thought he could cheat and get away with it. Nope. Justice served. Best revenge I've seen in years. For once, public opinion was on my side. Over the next week, I watched Alex's perfect life disintegrate. His boss, furious over the unprofessional scandal, suspended him pending review. The big promotion he had been bragging about, gone. His family, embarrassed beyond belief, cut ties for a while. His sister blocked him on social media. His mother wouldn't answer his calls. And Sam, she dumped him within 48 hours. Word on the grapevine was that she realized if he could cheat on me with her, he could just as easily cheat on her with someone else. Alex went from being the golden boy to the town joke almost overnight. And I thought, that's it. Justice served. But karma wasn't finished yet. 2 weeks later, I got an email. It was from a woman I didn't recognize. The subject line made my stomach flip. You don't know me, but we need to talk about Alex. Against my better judgment, I opened it. She introduced herself as Rachel, a woman Alex had been dating for the past 6 months. She had seen the viral video of the slideshow and realized, with horror, that she wasn't the only other woman. In fact, Alex had been juggling 3 relationships at once. Me, Sam, and Rachel. My jaw dropped. The betrayal went deeper than I had ever imagined. But here's the kicker. Rachel wasn't just any woman. She was the daughter of one of Alex's company's biggest clients. And when her father found out what Alex had done, he pulled the contract. That deal was worth millions to the firm. Overnight, Alex's career didn't just stall, it collapsed. I didn't lift a finger. Karma delivered the final blow all on its own. A week later, Alex showed up at my apartment. He looked nothing like the polished man I had once dated. His suit was wrinkled, his hair unkempt, his eyes bloodshot. Please, he begged, his voice cracking. I know I screwed up, but you've got to help me. Tell people it was a misunderstanding. Tell Rachel's family I'm not a bad guy. I stared at him, almost pitying him, almost. Why would I do that? I asked quietly. Because you loved me once, he pleaded. Because I have nothing left. I took a deep breath, steady and calm. You're right. I did love you, but you took that love and destroyed it. Now you're reaping what you sowed. That's not my problem anymore. His face crumpled. He tried to say more, but I closed the door in his face. And just like that, Alex was out of my life for good. In the weeks that followed, I focused on myself. I started therapy, picked up hobbies I'd abandoned, reconnected with friends I'd neglected during my relationship with Alex. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't living in someone else's shadow. I wasn't obsessing over lies, or crying over betrayal, or plotting revenge. I was free. And the wildest part, the revenge wasn't even the most satisfying part of the story. The real satisfaction came from watching karma do its work perfectly, mercilessly, without me lifting a finger. Months later, I got another message, this time from a mutual friend. Did you hear? Alex moved back in with his parents. No job, no girlfriend, no friends left. He's nothing like he used to be. I sat there, reading the words, and a strange calm washed over me. The man who once strutted through life like he was untouchable had been reduced to rubble, not because I destroyed him, but because he destroyed himself. That's the part that truly blew my mind. Revenge gave me closure, yes, but karma made sure Alex never repeated the same mistake again. If you asked me now whether I regret anything, my answer would be no. Not because I enjoyed the pain, but because I learned something invaluable. When someone betrays you, you don't have to become bitter. You don't have to waste your life plotting their downfall. Sometimes, all you need to do is step aside and let life handle them. Revenge gave me strength. Karma gave me justice. And I walked away, stronger, freer, and finally at peace. Alex thought he was untouchable. He thought he could cheat, lie, and manipulate forever. But in the end, the universe had other plans. And me? I didn't just get revenge. I got my life back.